Magic Makers. I'm Mom Virella.
And I'm CJ Peterson. Welcome to Magic Making Mischief. Sorry. We're a little bit lost. Welcome to Magic Making Mischief. Today, our guest is voice actor Jay Hickman. We've already got some people watching. Like Works Hard is here. She said like no one, working and listening. So welcome. We'll be talking to voice actor Jay Hickman, and we'll get to him in just a moment. But before we begin, get your wands to the ready because we solemnly swear we're up to no good. As always. Okay. Jay, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here. Thank you to you both.
Happy to have you.
We're talking before the show, and I tried pronouncing your characters. I got nowhere close.
I don't know.
The Japanese names are always a little tricky. Like I love some of the shows, but like learning the names, like my daughter goes, "No, just stop trying to say it, Mom." No.
It's it does take a little work sometimes, but I would argue that you did get somewhere close because I recognized what you were going for every time.
I knew where you were heading.
Yeah, I was. You were in the neighborhood.
That's cool.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
So, how did you get started in all this mess?
My background is in theater, and I think this is similar with a lot of my contemporaries that started with sort of stage acting. And I began, as a child, I did church plays, or was forced into church plays, and seemed to take to it, and enough to the point that I wasn't traumatized by the experience and was open to continuing to do stuff like that throughout middle school and high school. And kind of in high school, I had a dawning realization that being in the plays there was a good way to meet girls, which was of great interest to me at the time. So I kept up with that. That seemed to hit a chord there. That it seemed to be something that certainly I was enjoying, and some of my performances were resonating with the audience, and the director and the music director were pulling me aside and like, good stuff, and let's consider this and the other thing. So I continued in college, and while I was in college, I was participating in plays that were kind of like open to all campus type things, like anyone could audition. And so as an undergraduate, I was in these plays, and some of my castmates were graduate students there. And so they were not only continuing their studies, but also already out in the real world. And so, some of my castmates already had an agent locally in Houston. And they were like, "Have you thought about getting an agent?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And so, they were able to kind of guide me through that process. So shortly out of college, I got an agent, and I was doing local TV commercials, radio commercials, industrial training films, training videos, HR stuff. Here's what not to do on your first day of work. So there was lots of that stuff, and I was making a go of it. Like, I was a professional actor for probably a couple years when I saw an ad in the back of our alternative weekly paper calling for actors to do voices for cartoons. And I was like, that sounds right up my alley. So I called a number. I, after a kind of roundabout fashion, got an audition, and that ended up being for ADV Films, which was at the time the largest producer and distributor of English language anime in the United States of America, based right here in Houston. So I got a teeny tiny part in an anime you've never heard of. And it went well. A couple weeks later, I got another call for a slightly larger, teeny tiny part, and it just slowly grew from there.
That was the beginning. Do you feel like just kind of getting into that realm, getting to know some of the directors, the people that were in there, did that sort of help like get you into more as you went through that?
Before you answer that, we have the comments are starting to stack up. If I can do those really. I was trying to stop before you asked the question. Works Hard joined us in with the wands. Ryag says, "My daughter laughs at me too when I try to pronounce Japanese titles." And Julie Brock says, "Hi." So go ahead, Mombi. What was the question again? Sorry.
Basically, like, do you feel like those kinds of connections, just from getting the small like basically bit parts originally helped as time went by whenever your career was growing in voice acting, those connections.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think to your question, I was, you know, I had only ever heard of anime because of ADV films. Like, I kind of I was aware of some tangential stuff. Obviously, I knew Speed Racer. I was a fan of Thundercats. So like these are things that are kind of on the periphery of the world of anime we know today. But I was a professional actor at the time. I saw an ad calling for actors for another gig. And so I didn't know, the ad literally said cartoons. And so I went into it imagining that's what it was. And we were introduced at the time to this art form called Japanimation.
Yes, that
That's
was
what it
what
was
I
known,
remember
what it
when
was known
Sailor
as.
Moon
And
and Pokemon
so,
were the only thing on TV. They called it
yeah.
Japanimation.
And so
Yeah.
we were like, cool, like this is fun. And I'm, using my acting chops, and this is what I trained for. And here we go. And so, but truly, I mean, all I was doing in the world of anime for a number of years was with ADV Films. And so they had, as you can imagine, a pretty, tight-knit crew of directors, producers. And so every time I went in the studio, I was seeing the same people, and we struck up friendships. And um, they were, as they were growing, they would hire a new director, and the new director would talk to the old directors and be like, so what's the talent pool like, and who do you work with? And they would give everyone the lowdown. And so, my name got passed around, as did many actors there, to the new directors. And so it was just it was a small knit group for a while. And so, there wasn't so much in the way of networking at the time, in as much as, one week, the receptionist was like, Jay, I'd like you to meet so-and-so, the new director. New director, this is Jay. Like, hey, great to meet you. And like the director's like, I'm sure I'll see you around. And I was like, great. So it was kind of like that back in the day. I mean, it obviously it's just grown exponentially since then.
Right.
So it is the environment today is quite a bit different, and the need for networking and getting to know people kind of across the country and in different sorts of offshoots of the industry is a lot more important today than it was back then.
Is Speed Racer and Thundercats considered anime? Because I used to watch those. Does
Oh
that
wow! Oh my gosh!
Does that count?
So you have seen anime.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have seen it. Okay, I feel
Wow!
better.
It's a breakthrough episode of Magic Making Mischief, everyone. TJ is an anime fan.
Her self-discovery of anime.
I was
Yes.
glad to be present for that.
I'm like, wait a minute, I watched those and like
Yeah,
G-Force and all that stuff. Okay, so that's considered anime.
Totally counts. Okay, so
Okay,
speaking of
sorry, go
older
ahead.
anime though, so you've done a lot of voice acting roles at this point. Like your list is substantial. But my family's favorite is definitely Princess Tutu, which came out some time ago. So not it's got a following, but it's like the people who know kind of thing. So if you don't know Princess Tutu, I know it sounds very girly, and in a sense, I guess it is, but it's such a cool anime series. And so you were Muto in this one.
I was.
And he was
Yeah, you're right. All of your descriptions are apt about Princess Tutu, but it is. I think it recently, if I have this right, recently celebrated its 20th anniversary. So that's a big
wow.
deal. But it is a very special show. And as we've discussed, kind of the art form of anime covers all genres. Like there is nothing that has been untouched so far in the world of anime. But Princess Tutu was, kind of the first of its kind as a fairy tale anime. And it's really quite beautiful, and part of it is their score. They got all of this public domain classical music, Swan Lake and all this stuff to score. It's set at a ballet school, and it's got some sort of fairy tale ties, and there's some supernatural happening there. But yeah, I played basically Princess Tutu is described as a duck ballerina superhero.
Which
take,
makes sense if you've seen it, but like
take
not
that.
at all outside of
Yeah,
it.
take that for what it's worth. But she is, the titular lead and hero of the story, and I play Prince Mito, who is both her prince. She considers him her prince, but he's basically the damsel in distress of the anime, and so she, saves his bacon every single episode. It's like
Well,
every episode is like, what sort of trouble is Prince Muto in this time? What do I need to do to save the day?
right. I
So
love the essence of that too, because nowadays it's like it's such a big deal. They're trying to really push, oh, well, no females were ever the heroes. It was always the males. But that was 20 years ago, and
yeah,
she was the hero. He was not the one who saved her.
very
Yeah.
very clearly the hero. Yeah, and yeah, her main antagonist, a character named Princess Krehi, was, it starts as kind of, a clear kind of rival, but she has a kind of satisfying story arc where she has some layers and is also kind of heroic in her own way. But very clearly the two princesses were the heroes of the story. Yeah. Making it happen.
I think okay, so our other co-hostess is Yukita Cosplay, and she's our resident cosplayer. But I've been doing a little more cosplay as time goes by, and we were actually discussing, since we got her watching Princess Tutu, doing me doing Duck and her doing Grey. So that's something we were really excited about looking into trying to do.
That should definitely
It's a great cosplay.
Yeah. I've seen many great cosplayers over the years doing both of those characters, and it can certainly be done quite elegantly and beautifully, and it seems without too much difficulty. Like, it seems accessible as a cosplay idea. So I fully endorse. I'll look forward to it. Yeah, please let me know.
For sure. So speaking of that, do you have any favorites? Like, of all the animes you've done, though, like you've done so many, because you've done okay, there's a new one I'm gonna have to look up, Full Metal Panic. I'm gonna have to look that up. Because now that I started looking into that, I'm like, okay, no, I want to look at the I love the art in some of them. Like, just each anime has its own almost like difference in the colors and the vibrance too. So it's like sometimes you see them, just catches your attention. Of course, everybody loves My Hero Academia. That's very popular at this point.
Right.
You did Food Wars. I mean, so you've done like so many, but of all the ones you've done, do you have a favorite, or maybe more than one favorite?
Yeah,
It's hard to pick just one.
Like, picking a favorite, and I do get asked this question a lot. It's an impossible question. It would be like picking my favorite child, which I will not do. But I certainly have some that have risen, kind of to a sort of top 5 level or something. Food Wars, as you mentioned, is way up there. The character I play, his name is Joichiro Yukihira, also known as Joichiro Saiba. He is the father of the main protagonist of the show. So for those that haven't seen it yet, and I encourage that you do, it's basically set at a cooking school, high school level cooking academy. And so they are, kind of finding the most promising young chefs across the country and kind of funneling them into this cooking academy to turn them into the, culinary superstars of tomorrow. And so the protagonist of the show is Soma Yukihira, who's a, kind of rather like shameless and endlessly optimistic young talent in the cooking world. And I play his father, who is a world-class chef, just renowned the world over, the best of the best. And so this guy is he is referred. I meet a lot of fans who are like, "Oh, hot dad. Oh yeah, hot dad." But he is physically attractive man. The voice I was asked to use for him is fairly masculine, I guess. And but he is just so supremely confident. Like, he's the Superman of the culinary world. He can do absolutely anything he wants to, and just the ability to provide the voice of someone so confident was empowering to me. It was so it was exciting to be a part of that. And the show just, outside of experiencing it as Joichiro, as I did, the show is magnificent. It's just really, it's great storytelling. It's a really interesting shonen story, kind of set in the culinary world, and the way they treat the food is so faithful and reverently done. Like they've really done their
That's a
homework. So
good description of
they got
yeah.
lots of kind of real chefs and cooking consultants to come in and
Really?
like help them build out these recipes. 'Cause you start watching the show and every episode features a recipe or a food battle or a food war
Mhm.
where two chefs are going up against each other, and the prize of the war is something. It might be something kind of petty, like getting each other's cooking knife or something, or it might be something more important, like if I win, then you quit school and never come back, and or whatever. So, but there's a recipe featured in every episode because it's like for the food battle, it's like both of you have to make a tiramisu or whatever, and so or both of you have to make something with pork or something with squid or whatever, and so the recipes they come up with as you're first watching it seem like sorcery. It's just like, that, obviously there's no way to actually make that, right? Like that's impossible. But sure enough,
Right.
every single recipe can be made from the show. And so as you're watching them make it and as you see the
Wow.
finished product and the steam rising off of it, like everyone I've known that's watched the show is like, I cannot watch this show on an empty stomach. Like I get in so much trouble. On the commercial break, I run to the pantry and just like grab whatever. Like it's so bad for my diet.
It's like
The
Hell's
food,
Kitchen of anime.
say again.
So it's like anime's version of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah,
Like,
or Iron
Yeah.
Chef or something like that.
Something along those lines,
But
yeah.
truly, the food looks incredible. Like they have really done a great job.
sounds like one I might actually
The,
watch.
the moments where they really enjoy the food is always kind of entertaining.
It
The
is, yeah.
pardon the phrase, the foodgasm moment where
Yeah.
it's just so good.
People, some of the tasters have trouble restraining their emotions when they taste the food because it's that good. It's true.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that show is special for many reasons. Muto, that we've talked about already, is certainly up there. Like he holds a very dear place in my heart. Just because the emotional journey you go on while watching that show,
Right.
it sticks with you. And so he's up there. Probably another one that's in my top 5 is a gent named Kagetane Hiroko from the show Black Bullett. In short, it's like an alien invasion type anime. And so I play, this guy is basically introduced as the big bad villain of the show. He's kind of in the human contingent, trying to battle the invasion in his own way that runs counter to the way the rest of everyone else wants to address it. And so he has a neat story arc whereby toward the end he's become sort of more of an anti-hero, and they're finding some common purpose with the heroic faction of the story, so they kind of team up. But he's a remarkable character. He is kind of just your classic, at the beginning, a scenery chewing villain, and he just really relishes in his naughtiness. And so that was huge fun to do. Just so kind of liberating as an actor to be able to do something like that. So I really enjoyed him a lot.
So with a role like that, with that kind of a character arc, do you know where it's headed when you start? Like, do you, or is that a surprise to you as well?
Yeah, it's rare that I would know in advance. So yeah, for sure, that one was something that I didn't know much about going in, and in fact, it normally goes this way when I'm first called into the studio and first introduced to a show. The director will, kind of, there's in the studio, we've got your recording booth, of course, and then right outside across the glass is where the director and the sound engineer sit at the soundboard. And generally behind them, there's a sofa. And the sofa is there, so a member of the production team can come kind of observe, or occasionally we have visitors from the studio in Japan who kind of want to be able to do some backseat directing or producing. That's rare, but the lounge area is there for that purpose mostly. But occasionally the voice actor might have somebody with them for the afternoon and just need some place to sit. But when we first start a session, I'll have a seat on the sofa and the director will be like, all right, here's the show. Here's what's happening. Here's the story arc. Your character is so-and-so, who's related to the other characters in this following way. And your character wants to see the following thing happen, whatever. And so during this debrief on Black Bullett, I was introduced to the basic premise of the show, and then introduced to the character. And they'll pull up, there's a monitor out there in the lounge area. And so they'll pull up the character on screen and be like, here's your guy. We can listen to a little bit of the Japanese here just so you get a sense of what they did to introduce him. Great, great, great. And so there you go. And, what normally happens at this point is I will ask, like, what are you thinking he would sound like? And the answers can range from, let's listen to the Japanese. Like, I kind of like where they're headed with it. So let's play off of that. Like, certainly we do not need a carbon copy of this voice type or timbre, but something along those lines. Or they may be like, he's pretty much just sounds like you. Just do that. Or it'll be like, they might have a very specific idea, like, well, you wouldn't know this, Jay, but the backstory of this character is XYZ and so. So he's very much affected by these past events in his life. And so I think that's going to really inform his character. And so I'm thinking a voice kind of in here with these overtones or these undertones. And so sometimes the director will have a very specific idea about what they want the character to sound like. And it's my job to bring that to life. And so I happily roll up sleeves and undertake that challenge. Most often it's collaborative. They'll be like, well, let's try it out. Like, let's get in the booth and do a few lines and kind of see how we feel about it. And we can kind of tweak and go here or there with it. That's what most often happens. In this case, I heard the premise of the show, got to look at the character, and I was like, so what do you want him to sound like? And the director said, I don't know. What do you want him to sound like? I was like, I don't know. My gosh.
You get freedom.
This is a whole world of opportunity. And so there was something we definitely worked on together. But he is definitely larger than life. He kind of ended up having sort of a kind of flamboyant game show host sound to him, which was kind of a fun juxtaposition given how terrible he is. So yeah, he is a top 5 for me for sure. Fun show.
Cool. While you guys were talking, there's a few that popped in here. The Art of the Ride says, wow, what a great guest. I love this actor. Keenan says, hi all. So,
all right. Hi, Keenan.
Watching. So we have about 5 minutes left.
Oh.
Do you have any advice for like somebody who's wanting to get into voice acting?
Sure. I think I get asked this question from time to time, and each time the advice is heavily weighted with this, which is, if you're interested in voice acting, the most important element of that is the acting over the voice part. A lot of people, I think, are have an impression perhaps that it's the quality of our voice that matters a lot, or the fact that we know how to do a lot of accents and dialects that's important, or that we can easily fall into kind of character voices that makes the difference. And indeed, all of those things have value, and they're certainly nice to haves, I think. But the need to have is the acting part. And so my advice for anyone interested in voice acting is, if you're not already, get involved in acting at any level, in any venue. And so for me, the easiest path to advise someone on is theater, because that was my start. And so, for younger people that ask me this question, I'm like, do your plays in high school, like audition for those plays. Even if you only get a bit part, or even if you don't get a part, like you will have had an audition experience. You will learn from that. You will certainly go watch the play that you auditioned for and maybe didn't get in. And you can watch the people in the play and what they do and be like, that's what they were going for. Like, oh, they wanted to see an actor that could do this or this. You learn from that. And so what directors of animation projects most want to see is that you have experience as an actor, that you know how to embody a character, that you know how to emote, that you know how to build dialogue with another actor, and generally contribute to the story making process. That's the most important thing. So my advice is get your foot in the door with acting, whatever path is most easy for you. But generally, it's like high school plays, college plays, almost. Most mid-sized to large towns have a community theater. That's easy to get involved in. Again, even if it's only a tiny part, you'll be part of the theater family. You learn a lot you'll be able to watch your fellow actors as they, work their craft, see what they do, learn from them, and build up a body of work. Like get a resume together of, here are the plays I was in, here was the role I played, and present that to your director. They will know then that you know how to kind of be a part of a cast and
you a jumping off point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I guess one thing I also heard was unique. Don't try to sound like somebody else either.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you'll hear those stories that are rare where, like a lot of Hollywood productions are looking for a voice double. When a very popular animated movie goes from feature film to the TV series, and the actors that originated the role are like, no thanks, none for me. And the producers will be like, well, we've got to find someone to play this iconic character and sound like the original actor. And so, there are those cases where they're looking for a voice match. Those are extremely rare. And also, usually the casting directors know exactly who to go to. Like they might already know of someone who does an impression of so-and-so famous actor, so that they can find that voice match. But that's the outlier. Your point is well taken, CJ, which is that they do want some originality. I think frequently directors of shows like the ones I'm in are looking for, something new, something fresh. The anime fandom is quite vocal sometimes about hearing the same actors in these anime that they like to watch, particularly on, something like on Toonami, where there's like a couple hours and 4 different animes, very different animes are shown, and like one actor is in 3 of the 4, and it just drives the fandom crazy. So yeah, I think originality is definitely key. And create your own voice. And then, if the director is looking to have something that sounds like a prototype that's already out there, then they'll let you know. You put yourself in their hands, follow their sound direction.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for coming on. We really appreciate you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Next week, we're going to be having Warrior Princess cosplay. So we'll be heading back into the cosplay world again. Mommy, whenever you're ready.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Really appreciate you being here, Jay. Also, do you have any events coming up that you're going to be at this year that are on the books right now?
I do. It would probably take me a second to look them up. But coming up in February, I will be at 2 Japanese food and anime festivals. One is in San Antonio. I don't remember the dates. And one is in Houston. I don't remember the dates.
Okay, but you'll have those on your Twitter account
For
posted
sure,
so
yeah.
people can check that out.
Twitter's
Okay.
great for me. That's going to be the best channel. I promote all of my anime themed shows and events there. So yeah, please keep an eye on that. I'll be announcing that soon.
Awesome.
So your
Thank you
Twitter,
again.
I was gonna say your Twitter is J Hickman MD. That's JAYHICKMANMD for those who are listening.
Yes, and hilarious story on how I got that handle. We'll share next time.
Yeah. Awesome. We'd love to have you back again sometime.
Okay,
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, guys. If you haven't had a chance to yet, make sure to follow us on our social media, our YouTube, CJ Peterson and Mombirella, and also Yukita Cosplay on Instagram, who's not with us today, but she'll be with us. She's with us at all of our events. She comes on. And love you guys. Till next time, mischief managed. Bye.